When was the last time you actually opened your credit card statement? Not glanced at it, not scrolled past the notification. Actually opened it, looked at the balance, and made a plan. If you just felt something in your chest, a little tightness, or maybe some avoidance, stay right here. Because that feeling has a name. And it's not irresponsibility or laziness. It's not even bad money management. It's what happens when debt stops feeling like a problem to solve and starts feeling like a permanent part of your life. And that shift from problem to identity is exactly what we're breaking today. Let me describe your life for a second, and you tell me if this sounds familiar. You make your payments every month. Maybe not all of them in full, but you make them. You're doing what you're supposed to do, but every time you check the balance, it barely moved. Sometimes it went up. Or maybe you had a season where you actually got ahead. You paid something down, felt good about it, started to believe things were turning around, and then the car needed repairs, or a medical bill showed up, or the kids needed something. And just like that, you were right back where you started, maybe further behind. And so eventually you stopped looking, not because you don't care, but because looking hurts and nothing seems to change anyway. Here's what I need you to understand about that place. The avoidance isn't weakness, it's a survival response. When your brain associates something with pain and hopelessness, it protects you by making you look away. The problem is that looking away from debt doesn't make it smaller. It makes it louder. It sits in the back of your mind at 2 a.m. It shows up every time you want to do something for yourself or your family. It whispers that you'll never get ahead. And that whisper? That's not your financial situation talking. That's a mindset. And mindsets can be changed. Here's what nobody tells you about debt. The number on the statement is not actually your biggest problem. Your biggest problem is what you believe about that number. Because if you believe the debt is permanent, your decisions will reflect that belief. You'll spend impulsively because what's the point of holding back? You'll avoid creating a budget because budgets are for people who have hope. You'll tell yourself you'll deal with it later and later never comes. But if you shift your belief, if you start seeing the debt as a temporary problem with a specific solution and a real end date, your decisions change completely. You start making choices like someone who is on the way out, not someone who is trapped inside. That shift doesn't happen by accident. It has to be intentional. And for a woman of faith, it has to be anchored in something bigger than willpower. Because willpower runs out. Conviction doesn't. Proverbs 22:7 says, "The borrower is slave to the lender." Now that verse isn't meant to make you feel condemned. It's meant to make you feel clear. Because clarity is the beginning of freedom. If you have debt that you're not actively working to eliminate, someone else has a claim on your future income, on your time, on your options, and on your assignment. Listen, God never designed you to build your purpose from a position of bondage. So, that verse isn't a judgment, it's an invitation. An invitation to take seriously what's been placed in your hands and steward it with the kind of intentionality that changes your family's story. You were not created to stay in financial bondage. And the fact that you're watching this video tells me something in you already knows that. So let's talk about what actually works. Because conviction without strategy is just emotion. And emotion without a plan can fade in a few days. Here's the framework. 3 steps. All of them matter. Step 1, face it completely. Pull up every single debt. Write it down. The balance, the interest rate, the minimum payment, all of it. On paper. Not in your head. In your head, debt is a monster. But on paper, it's a math problem. And math problems have solutions. This step alone will shift something for you. Because most women don't actually know the full number. They have a vague sense of it, a feeling of dread, but not the actual number. And you cannot build a strategy around a feeling. Step 2, build your payoff order. The most effective method for most people is the snowball method. Pay minimums on everything and throw every extra dollar at the smallest balance first. When that's gone, roll that payment into the next one. This method works not because it's mathematically perfect, but because it gives you wins early. And wins build momentum. And momentum builds belief. And belief is what we're actually after here. Step 3. Create one new dollar. This is the step most debt payoff advice skips. You cannot cut your way to financial freedom if your income doesn't have room. So while you're paying down debt, you need to be creating at least one new stream of income, even if it's small. A side service, selling something, a skill you already have. One new dollar directed specifically at debt changes the psychological dynamic completely. You're no longer just defending, you're advancing. Here's what I want you to take from this video. Your debt is not your destiny. It's a season. And seasons change when you change your approach. The woman who faces her numbers, builds her plan, anchors it in her faith, and creates momentum, she gets out. Not because she got lucky, not because her income magically increased, but because she decided that her assignment was worth more than her avoidance. That decision is available to you right now, today, with whatever is in your account and whatever is on your statement. You don't need more money to start. You need a decision. If this hit home, subscribe and let me know in the comments if you're already feeling a sense of relief. Next week, we're talking about the trap that looks like success from the outside, but is quietly suffocating the woman on the inside. If you're feeling trapped by a life you built on debt, but don't actually want anymore, you need to tune in for that one. This is Wealth on Assignment, and your assignment is too important for you to stay financially stuck. I'll see you in the next one.